Blenheim, and then flanked with the notable Spitfire and P51 Mustang. The V8 Combine from Dublin. One of the most beautifully filmed sequences of the day yesterday. I'll give you a moment to really take in what you're seeing here. So it's an awful lot of history packed into just 3 aircraft. Then, of course, bought and brand of the first couple of years of the Second World War. Very unique British aircraft. And then 2 of the most iconic and most successful fighters of the Second World War. They'll do just a couple of passings for you, and then break into individual demonstrations from each one. All very relatively rare aircraft in their marks. A Mark 11 is a very unusual Spitfire to have displaying. A good few Spitfires, of course, still exist, and more being developed and reconditioned, refurbished and rebuilt for passively flying around the country. And P51 Mustang is eternally popular. Blenheim was designed and built by the Bristol Airplane Company, used extensively in the first 2 years of the Second World War. Examples used as trainers right up until the end of the war. The run began as the Type 142. It was actually a civil airliner challenge from the newspaper proprietor Riviera to produce the fastest commercial aircraft in Europe at that time. The 142 first flew in April 1935, and it was the Air Ministry that ordered a modified design as the 142M as a bomber for the Royal Air Force. Blenheim picked up the nickname from Riviera as the Spirit of Britain. After its modification as a bomber, became the first stress-skin aircraft accepted by the Royal Air Force. The fastest light bomber of its day, faster at the time than the fighter aircraft then on order, became the backbone of the early light bomber force. So very shortly the formation will break apart, and then you'll get the opportunity to see the excitement, the land, pure speed and design. Stand by. At the controls of the Blenheim, John Remain from Deliveries of the new Blenheim Royal Air Force Squadron commenced back in March 1937 with the Mark I, which would eventually be developed into a longer nose Type 149. Both versions were converted into heavy fighters by the addition of a gun pack with 4 Browning 303 machine guns mounted under the fuselage. The Mark IV was used as a maritime patrol aircraft as well, with both aircraft equally being used for bombing and gunnery trainers once they had become obsolete as combat aircraft. Advantage, of course, in the fighters left it vulnerable when it was splendid day-night, though it did continue to be successful as a night fighter. Many other modifications are made, with turning it into an extended range reconnaissance aircraft during the course of the war. But it did continue to take an awful lot of hits, and unsurprisingly, was eventually outmatched by the competition. Around 200 Blenheims were fitted with the gun pack under the fuselage for those 303 Brownings, and also the airborne intercept version was refitted for use in the night fighter role. Right at the start of the war, the Blenheims were spread across much of the world, in Egypt, Aden, Iraq, India and Singapore. Luckily, by the outbreak of the war, another 168 Mark IVs have been entered into Royal Air Force service. On the very first day of the war, it was a Blenheim Mark IV which crossed the German coast to perform a high altitude reconnaissance mission upon the German Navy, by flying officer Andrew McPherson at the time. Following day, 15 Blenheims from 3 squadrons set off on one of the very first bombing missions to attack the ship spotted on the previous day from the reconnaissance range. One more pass from John Romain here, who's done the most exceptional job, a hugely accomplished warbird pilot himself, spent many years developing the business at Duxford, and as a result participated in his aircraft in many movies that you would have all seen. John, as a result, not only probably with most hours on this particular aircraft, but one of the most experienced Spitfire pilots in the entire country as well. Having been pressed into roles it wasn't initially designed for, it became effectively the first multi-role aircraft for the Royal Air Force, and the crews were very much praised by Winston Churchill, who paid homage to their bravery, comparing them to the charge of the light. John will now just clear the airspace momentarily to allow the fighters now their rightful part in demonstrating their own prowess. Boys and girls, mums and dads, on last passes we do try to give the pilots a bit of a wave. They're looking out for you, and they are doing their best obviously to perform as professionally and accurately, timely as possible. These guys, once they're here, going straight off now to Duxford Mini Mustang there to do it all over again. But